Picture this nightmare. You're part of a search team in the freezing Ural Mountains of Russia. It's minus 30 degrees. Suddenly, you spot a tent partially buried in the snow. You approach, your heart pounding, but what you find inside will haunt you forever. February in 1959, the search party discovers the tent of 9 experienced hikers who had been missing for weeks. The tent is slashed, but when investigators arrive, they find a chilling detail that changes everything. The tent wasn't ripped from the outside. It was cut from the inside. Something terrified these hikers so much, they literally sliced their way out. And the worst part, all their gear was still there. Heavy coats, thick boots, survival equipment, and even an unfinished dinner left behind. 9 full-grown adults, professional hikers, fled into a deadly blizzard wearing nothing but their underwear and socks. Investigators found footprints in the snow, barefoot tracks leading down the mountain toward a dark, freezing forest. They followed those tracks, completely unaware that the bodies they were about to find would give birth to the most disturbing mystery of the 20th century. The Dyatlov Pass incident. To understand the true scale of this mystery, we have to look at who these people were. This was a group of 8 students and instructors from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, led by a 23-year-old named Igor Dyatlov. They weren't amateurs. They were highly skilled, fully prepared, and optimistic. Their goal was to reach Mount Otterton. Here are actual photos from their preparation, completely unaware of what was waiting for them. They set off on January 25th. The landscape was breathtaking but brutal, recording some of the lowest temperatures that year. But they pushed forward, healthy and in high spirits. On the day of the incident, they decided to set up their camp on the slope of Kholat Syakhl, translated as the Mountain of the Dead, to avoid losing altitude for the next day's climb. They pitched a classic Soviet canvas tent, the exact same tent the search party would later find, slashed open. They got inside, lit a lantern, and got ready to eat their favorite meat soup and bread, the same meal left abandoned on the floor. The last photos they ever took show them smiling, just moments before all hell broke loose. Let's go back to those bare footprints in the snow. The search party slowly followed them down the steep slope, their flashlights cutting through the freezing darkness. The tracks led them about a mile away from the tent, towards the edge of a dense, dark pine forest. At the edge of the forest, under a massive ancient cedar tree, they found the remains of a small, desperate fire. And right next to it, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko. They were wearing nothing but their underwear. They had frozen to death. But then the investigators noticed something disturbing. The branches of the cedar tree were broken up to 5 meters high. The hands of the 2 men were scraped raw, their skin torn, as if they had desperately tried to climb the tree. Were they trying to escape something on the ground, or trying to see if someone or something was coming from the tent? Between the cedar tree and the abandoned tent, the searchers found 3 more bodies, including the leader, Igor Dyatlov. Their poses showed they were desperately trying to crawl back to the tent they had just fled from. The cold had stopped them. So 5 hikers were dead from hypothermia. Tragic, but in minus 30 degrees it made sense. But where were the other 4? It would take 2 more months for the snow to melt enough to find them, and what they discovered in a ravine deeper in the woods would turn this tragic accident into an unexplained nightmare. May 1959. The snow finally begins to melt. Deep in the ravine we saw earlier, under 4 meters of snow, the search team finds the remaining 4 hikers. Unlike the others, these 4 were fully clothed. In fact, they were wearing clothes that belonged to the dead hikers under the cedar tree. They had scavenged them to survive. But the clothing wasn't the weird part. When the medical examiner performed the autopsies on these last 4 bodies, the results defied all logic. 3 of them had fatal injuries. One had a skull fractured so badly it looked like he was hit by a car. 2 others had massive chest fractures. The doctors stated that the force required to cause these injuries was equal to a high-speed car crash. Here is the impossible twist. Despite these catastrophic internal injuries, there was absolutely no external trauma. No bruises, no cuts, no signs of a struggle. Their skin was perfectly intact. It was as if an immense, invisible pressure had simply crushed them from the inside out. As if that wasn't terrifying enough, the autopsy of Lyudmila Dubinina, one of the hikers, revealed something straight out of a horror movie. Her eyes and her tongue were completely missing. Gone. The official report offered no logical explanation for this, and then came the final nail in the coffin of logic. When the investigators tested the hikers' clothing, they found abnormally high levels of radioactive contamination. Why would hikers in the middle of a remote mountain range be covered in radiation? The Soviet government quickly sealed the files, classified the case as a state secret, and closed the mountain pass for 3 years. So, what happened to the 9 happy hikers? The initial investigation was closed quickly, with the Soviet government stating the cause of death was an unknown compelling force. It was a vague, dismissive answer, but the case remained open for decades among amateur researchers and the hikers' families. One of the most widely accepted theories is a rare type of avalanche. A slab of ice could have broken free, striking the tent with immense force. This explains the internal crushing injuries, like a car crash, without external marks. It would have sent them into a panic, slashing the tent from the inside to escape. But then, why would they flee naked in a different direction than the avalanche? A more recent theory suggests a rare atmospheric phenomenon known as infrasound. This extreme low-frequency vibration can cause instant panic, nausea, and terrifying hallucinations in humans. If the mountains were vibrating, they might have lost their minds and fled into the night. But what about the missing eyes and tongue? What about the high levels of radiation? This is where the conspiracy theories go deep. The area was close to a missile testing site. Some believe the hikers were caught in a secret Soviet weapons test. Perhaps a missile malfunctioned and released toxic chemicals or radiation, killing them and causing the severe internal trauma. Another dark theory points to the Mansi people, the native tribe in the region. Their territory was invaded, and Kholat Syakhl, the mountain of the dead, was sacred. Some speculate the hikers offended a powerful Mansi shaman who used nature or psychology against them. However, no evidence was ever found to support this. The most frustrating part? Every single theory fails to explain every single clue. No theory can account for the radiation, the missing tongue, and the internal crushing injuries without external trauma. The original verdict, an unknown compelling force, remains the only one that fits. This case is truly unexplainable. Beyond the classified files and the wild conspiracy theories, 9 young lives were cut short, Their promising futures were frozen in time on a desolate mountain slope. Today, we only have these haunting photos left, a reminder of their happy beginning and their still unexplained end. The mystery of Dyatlov Pass will likely never be truly solved. Now, we turn to you. After reviewing the evidence, what is your theory? Was it a bizarre avalanche, a secret weapons test, or something else that science cannot yet explain? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one of them. If you love mysteries that defy logic, you won't want to miss our next video. We're moving from the frozen mountains of Russia to the rain-soaked skies of the Pacific Northwest. We'll be uncovering the story of a man who hijacked an airplane, demanded a fortune, and then vanished into thin air. The legend of D.B. Cooper. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the world's most baffling cases. Until next time, stay curious and don't believe everything you hear.